So tell us why did you want to make a game like Dead Space?
Well, actually, you know, it's the vision of our executive producer, Glenn Schofield. He always had an idea that he wanted to make a really gory, science fiction-based survival horror game. So we set out like 3 years ago with a vision to do that, and that's actually what we ended up with.
So you have some new, very interesting aspects of this game, and I think Zero G is one of those. Can you tell us a little bit about why you wanted to do this and how it changes up the gameplay?
Sure. So Zero G is sort of a nice automatic trait of being in space on a spaceship. So we started experimenting around in the white boxes and the technical pieces of it and came up with a great demo, and we're like, yeah, that's going to work really well. We ended up with a great mechanic where you basically have your boots on at all times, and when the ship gravity turns off, you can jump from plate to plate and get distance from your enemies and change the whole tactical situation you're in. That became one of our major mechanics.
Why is there Zero G in the spaceships? Aren't they supposed to be artificial gravity?
Yeah, they're supposed to be artificial gravity, but our future that we described is not like Star Trek, right? It's not like carpeting in a nice executive area and it's all pretty and safe. It's very dangerous. It's very fragile. It's like an oil rig in space, and then there's been this disaster on it as well. So it's very plausible that the gravity is on and off in different areas, and it maybe even off where it's not supposed to be, and some of the decking might be broken and in reverse gravity stage. So we play with gravity quite a bit. So our future is a little bit dystopian. It's not really very utopian at all. Mankind has gone through an extinction level event of his own creation through essentially the resource crises and not living in a sort of sustainable way with the planet. And they have to go out in the future and mine whole planets for the resources that are needed. So these are the Planet Cracker class ships that go out and do this. The Ishimura is one of them. And this is the ship that goes dark while in the process of mining a planet. And Isaac has to go out and see why. And he thinks it's just a routine sort of check on the ship kind of a project. And of course it turns out to be much worse.
Behind us we have this floating hand in space, and dismemberment is a big part of the game. Can you tell us a little bit about that and your philosophy behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. So dismemberment, and we actually are trying to call it strategic dismemberment. For survival horror, it's pretty classical to have a headshot be the way that you kind of get ahead in the game. We took that concept and kind of mutated it and made it our own. We wanted to make it where you have to cut all the limbs off of these creatures to kill them. And that became the first stage of strategic dismemberment. And then we keep ramping that mechanic throughout the game. You'll come across an enemy that's called the Pregnant, and if you're not strategically dismembering correctly, you may hit him in the belly and he bursts forth with all these swarm enemies that come after you. There's other enemies that if you dismember them wrong, you have a rude surprise waiting for you. So it becomes this major issue throughout the game that you have to sort of manage.
So is that something you will learn as you go, or will there be like hints in the game as to what to aim for?
Yeah, there's some initial hints in the game, like the people that are dying on the ship have left a lot of graffiti on the ship. So there's a lot of things that say like cut off their limbs and all these different things. So you get a hint where to start and how to get started with the mechanic, but you kind of have to experiment with the enemies when you first encounter them to kind of figure out what's the best gameplay for that. Because the enemies are little games all by themselves, right? How to handle each one.
What kind of guy is Isaac?
He is sort of your everyday, simple guy. He's just an engineer, right? Just assigned to go out on this very simple task and check up on the ship.
Will there be any survivors that Isaac might encounter in the game?
Yeah, so most of the crew has been killed or converted into these necromorphs. Every once in a while, he occasionally comes across a survivor. There are a couple of people in the supporting cast that are originally part of the ship crew that he gets involved with later in the storyline, and they actually have an important role to play in how the story unfolds. But you don't encounter like a large group of survivors that help out. It's pretty much stragglers here and there.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.